Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
So we discussed with Joe Schaefer in the last segment the state of play in the Democrats' presidential race. Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg looks ready to jump into the race, somehow believing that a billionaire capitalist can win a primary race dominated by radical socialist ideas like the Green New Deal and Medicare for All. Already, another Democrat officially entered the fray this week, the latest entry ever into a presidential primary. And then there's the most familiar name of all still making noises about getting in, and we'll talk about her. This all points to the rather elementary conclusion the Democrats themselves believe none of their current candidates, from socialists like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders to relative moderates or traditional liberals like Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar, I suppose, can unseat President Trump, or we wouldn't be hearing about all these last-minute candidacies. The newest official entry in the race is former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick, the apparent favorite of the Obamas. They urged him to run last time and this time, and after announcing earlier this year that he wouldn't run, he's changed his mind and jumped in. And already, Governor Patrick is being attacked for the job he took after leaving the governorship of Massachusetts at Bain Capital. Ironically, the very company associated with a man who was both Patrick's predecessor as Massachusetts governor and Republican presidential candidate so heavily attacked by Obama in 2012, Mitt Romney. And Patrick's now out there trying to show he's down with wokeness while distancing himself from one of the key attack lines of the very campaign he co-chaired in 2012.
I love that the party has moved to the left. I love that we are the party of the woke. I believe that we also have to be the party of the still waking. Yes, I work at the place that was demonized in the 2012 presidential election. And
by
I
your
remember
party,
it because
by your side.
Because I'm about to tell you, you may remember I was co-chair of that campaign. And I didn't buy into it then, and I still don't.
Hard to understand how a guy could be so close to the Obamas, co-chair their re-election campaign where one of the leading attack lines was on Bain Capital, and then say he never bought into it. But who knows? In this primary race, almost anything can happen. You've got pure socialists, modified socialists, social justice warriors, 20th century liberals, likely a billionaire capitalist, and now talk of that woman. Again, Hillary Clinton, who went on BBC this week and sounded ready to give it another go.
As I say, never say never. And I will certainly tell you, I'm under enormous pressure from many, many, many people to think about it.
Many people want a replay of 2016. Really? Hey, sounds about as plausible, I guess, as any of these other candidates. But before they nominate anyone, maybe the Democrats ought to decide who they are and what they want to be. Socialists, liberals, capitalists, social justice warriors, doves, war hawks, which seems to be their latest iteration. Meanwhile, forgetting even the radical left-wing resistance to President Trump, if you want to get an idea of what President Trump has been dealing with inside his own administration, consider what's written in a new book released by Trump's former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley. She says that Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson actively undermined Trump under the guise of saving the country and tried to recruit her to go along. A most inflammatory charge, to which Tillerson replied that he did nothing to undermine Trump. Haley responded on Fox News.
I mean, that's so Rex. You know, it's typical, and I'm not going to fight over it. If you notice, both he and Kelly, neither one of them denied sitting me down and saying that. And I was in multiple National Security Council meetings where we vetted multiple issues. Ask other people in the administration. Right. Ask H.R. McMaster. He knows that it happened.
Were you in many meetings with him?
Yes, of course I was. You know, when you're a cabinet member, you're in cabinet meetings, National Security Council meetings, Oval Office meetings.
So if you think the resistance to Trump comes only from outside his administration and not from within, think again. And as Trump heads into his reelection campaign, the best thing the resistance has going for it, of course, is the media. Always looking for the latest shocker on Trump to signal their virtue and juice their ratings. Here now is a conversation this week which typifies CNN and their fellow biased media outlets. It's between Wolf Blitzer, once lampooned somewhere on TV as Wolfgang Blitzkrieg, and presidential advisor and whipping girl for the media hordes, Kellyanne Conway, on the matter of anti-Trump statements by Kellyanne's husband, George Conway, on CNN's competitor, MSNBC.
I don't want to talk about your marriage. I know that there are issues there. Your husband, George Conway, he's a lawyer.
What did you just say?
Your husband, George Conway.
Did you just say there are issues there? You don't want to talk about marriage?
I don't want to talk about. No, I don't want to talk.
Why did you say that?
I don't want to talk about your marriage. I don't want to talk about your. I want to talk about a substantive point that your husband, George Conway, made. He was on television all day yesterday.
We've heard things like that said on CNN for 3 years. What you just quoted is said every single day by other voices, but you wanted to put it in my husband's voice because you think somehow that that'll help your ratings or that you're really sticking it to Kellyanne Conway. And let me make very clear, you didn't stick it to Kellyanne Conway. I think you embarrassed yourself, and I'm embarrassed for you because this is CNN now, and now the news is what somebody's husband says.
Do you know
on a
how many
different
times?
One wonders if CNN is even a bit embarrassed by the succession of sensational bombshell allegations aired on their channel, which turned out to be false. But that's probably the wrong question. Instead, we should probably be asking whether CNN is even capable of embarrassment, not to mention shame. I, for one, am neither embarrassed nor ashamed to ask who's really running this narrative, this impeachment inquiry, this whole nonstop blitzkrieg on the White House. The Democrats, yes, they're pushing the buttons, but isn't it really the media lackeys like CNN? Think about this. If the media was not fueling this narrative, cooperating and spouting the Democrats' exact talking points, if they were just balanced, not biased in either direction, which is, of course, the purpose of affording them the protections in the First Amendment. If they were just neutral, would this whole impeachment business even be able to proceed on course? Would the American people really favor impeachment of a duly elected president for a phone call and for an alleged crime he did not commit, namely withholding aid which was delivered, after making a demand of Ukraine which was not met and then dropped? If the media actually delivered a fair recitation of all the facts, including the obvious corruption involving Joe Biden and his son Hunter, the answer is no. It would not be possible. So you can blame the Democrats for pushing impeachment, but the whole thing could not happen without the aid and comfort of a flagrantly and proudly biased media.